Good evening. Thank you. Oh, this outfit is so tight. I put on the Trump 10. He won and I ate. That was how I handled it. And I don't think it was a good idea. I'm very glad to be here to introduce our honoree tonight and my partner and husband of 25 years, Dan Bucatinsky. Now, it's a dangerous thing saying nice things about your husband in public because he will remember them. I am not selfish and lazy, he'll say, after I scream at him for not finding me my keys. You said so yourself. You said I was tireless and had deep reserves of human compassion. So I have to be careful with what I say about him tonight. We are honoring him tonight for his advocacy of LGBTQ rights. Some of you may know the list of accomplishments that he's done in that area. I try not to think about that list ever since it grew longer than mine. But he wasn't always this accomplished. When I met Danny in 1992, he was selling cassettes at a small theater in Los Angeles for a production of Forever Plaid. The musical proves we are gay, and the fact that they were cassettes proves we are roughly 1,000 years old. But he wasn't an advocate for anything back then, aside from his tireless work at getting me out of pleats and into flat front pants. It was important work. He was a young actor then, worried about coming out in a homophobic industry, but he did, gradually at first and then completely. He'd written a play about a man and a woman, and he decided he was going to make a movie from the play, but in the movie, it would be a relationship between two men. And that became All Over the Guy, a movie about the sweetness and the sorrow. Oh, that's from Chorus Line. Still gay up here. The sweetness and the sorrow of a gay relationship. I can't tell you how many people have come up to Danny at an airport and told him how that movie gave them hope and a sense of community. And I stand there by him very proudly. I sometimes say, you know, I also make movies, but I usually don't. But I do, so anyway. But they like that one, so. And though Danny made that movie for himself, I think it taught him that his talents and his visibility could make a difference to all the boys and girls like him who once felt different and wrong and alone. Everything he does now professionally, he looks at from the point of view of, does this move that particular conversation forward? I sometimes mention we have a conversation with the mortgage company and our Visa card and Amazon Prime, but he's much more interested in doing things at whatever cost to enlighten and move us all forward, this whole country. In The Comeback, in It Got Better, in Web Therapy, and Who Do You Think You Are? These are the movies that he produces, the television shows and films he's produced. Danny always works towards a more liberal, compassionate, and humanistic world. And I think with Danny, it all springs not only from a sense of justice or courage, but from love. I don't think I'll ever meet anyone who loves people more than Danny does, individually and in the abstract. And loving people means you want them to have every opportunity to live full and rich and open lives, and you'll fight to make that happen. That's why he does what he does, and that's why we're honoring him tonight.
Thank you. That is incredibly sweet. I'm a wreck, so thank you so much. And Don, you know, this is our 25th anniversary this year, and there's no greater gift than being able to share the stage with him and a life and kids and work, and I just have to say that. Okay, so now I will go as quickly as I can. I talk a lot, so I'm apologizing in advance for it, but I just want to say to all of you, it is so nice to be back in Atlanta. Shooting 24 Legacy this past season here was a scary proposition for me at first, because I would have to be away from my loving and beautiful kids. And then I got to experience so much of this great city and the joys of being away from my loving and beautiful kids. I was so happy to call Atlanta my second home, and I still do. I stand here today so honored and humbled to receive any recognition from an organization as passionately dedicated to human rights and equality as the Human Rights Campaign. Wait, can we just stop a second and look at something? Human Rights Campaign. Why on earth would we need a campaign for human rights? Are there other species targeting us? I mean, mosquitoes, sure, but we can take them. Is aging a species? Because it's definitely gotten a hold of me. No. Calories? Definitely an enemy, but not a species. No, we are the top of the food chain. So why then should we need a campaign for our species' rights? A campaign for strong leadership? Yes, of course. Improved education and healthcare? Yes. But it saddens me to think of the very clear need we continue to have for a campaign to protect ourselves from a far scarier and more insidious enemy. Other human beings all over the world who seem fixated on chiseling away at our rights. Why? Well, in America, the problem as I see it goes back to the founding of this country. Declaration of Independence tells us all men are created equal. What about the women? What about the gender nonconforming or gender queer, men of color? Nope. And then later at the Declaration of Independence after party called the Constitutional Convention, they said, we the people. Did they mean all the people? Or all the white, presumably straight, land-owning men? Given what we know now, statistically speaking, there's a good chance at least 4 or 5 of those guys at the Constitutional Convention couldn't help imagine each other with their britches around their ankles. What? It took place between May and September of 1787 in Philadelphia. Have you been to Philly in the summer? It is hot. But these were not the men included in those created equal. It wasn't meant for men who loved other men and wanted to live with them and go antiquing with them and check Craigslist for tickets to Hello Dolly with them and make babies with them and love them forever. No. So as it turns out, we did need a campaign, and we do, for rights, for freedom, for justice, for equality. Okay, I have to stop again. I have to look at the word equality again. We are not equal. You see that equal sign a lot these days. HRC has branded itself with its symbol, 2 identical lines. Although, let's face it, one is on top of the other, so clearly one of them won that particular battle over billing. The idea behind the symbol is that what comes before it and what comes after it should be the same. It is if you want to do well in math. And sure, identical twins are the same, but come on, even with twins, if we're being honest, one of them is always cuter. And if you're a twin, you know which one you are. But I feel compelled to make it clear we are not created equal. If by equal, we mean the same. We are different, all of us. Women, men, gays, bisexuals, transgender and straight, big city, small town, blue states, red states, innies, outies, real boobs, fake boobs, cut, uncut, paper, plastic. Those of us from other cultures, or our parents are, or their parents. We don't bring the exact same thing to the table. For example, I am much younger and infinitely better looking than my husband, Don. No, he's great. I love you. You're fantastic. But, we're not equal in that way. Don told me not to worry about my suit, that no one's going to be looking at me. He always says that. Nobody's looking at you. Well, they kind of are, Don. It's a visibility award. I mean, they see me. They see you too, but they see me. We are not all equal. There was this fantastic woman I met from Buenos Aires, where my parents are from, raised 2 talented, smart, polite kids. Clearly a great mom, also a professor, and a harpist. I was like, what? What can't this woman do? I can't play the harp, can you? We are so not equal. But then again, she can't play a gay dead husband on TV, not like I can. And yet, as a white American man, I have all kinds of rights and privileges, not the least of which is to live without the fear of being deported or to make decisions about the health of my own body or my kids. Rights and privileges that she does not have. And this is the key for me right here, I am so glad that she lives on this planet and can round out the awesomeness of our human experience with all that makes her different from me. My son's baseball coaches, these guys are not the same as me. They're not gay, and they remind me of the guys who beat me up in gym class. But this gay is so grateful for the amazing unequalness of what those not gay guys teach my little boy. And here's the thing, and a point even near and dear to my heart. I only have a little boy because I am married to a man in a country where I am due in large part to the efforts of HRC and organizations like it, entitled to marry a man at long last, and we can have a family. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Isn't that what we are all striving for? Me and you and my son's coaches and the Argentine mother, Dr. Harpist, different as we all are entitled to the same freedoms, across the board equally. As humans who occupy the same planet, the LGBT fight is so not over. We've made strides for such basic rights to love, honor, and cherish whomever we want, and to have the right to decide to have children, however misguided that decision may be, as it undoubtedly triggers the death of our sex lives. But that's our choice, and it should always have been our right. We must not get complacent. Every day, gays are being tortured in Chechnya. And here in the US, we continue to face threats to our freedom by people I like to call the bad humans. North Carolina has already filed to have gay marriage taken off the table. I echo that. Trump, within the first 30 days of his presidency, before the tacky gold paint had dried on his toilet seats, custom made to fit his orangutan ass cheeks in China by 14-year-old girls that he recruited for his modeling agency, then deported for being undocumented, but not before hitting on them. Decided to rescind federal protection for trans students in schools across this country in his first month as the president. No, we're not all equal. And it's a lesson that took me a quarter of a century to learn, that what made me different from the other boys did not make me less worthy or deserving of rights, freedom, and protection. Equal to the white, maybe straight Christian men who drafted the Constitution of this land of the free. My protection as a boy was invisibility, disguise, divert, distract, deny. For the truth was way too scary. But to embrace the truth, to be seen and heard, to be visible without shame, that is our weapon against the bad humans. You have no idea how honored and proud I am to be receiving this award, but most of all, I'm grateful for those of you who have never wavered from the campaign for human rights, for my rights, which inspired so many like me to be visible and proud in the first place. That is the real reward. So let's all commit right now, if it's not the first time, then once again, to fight the resistance that seems to be growing in the world and in America, to turn back the clock on basic principles upon which this country was founded. And like we learn in the gym, the place I was made to feel so unequal as a kid, resistance just makes you stronger. To help us withstand even greater resistance, which makes us stronger still, until we are all strong enough to fight back and win the very basic rights each and every wildly different human on this planet so readily deserves. Let's not give up. I suck at a lot of things, so I rely on so many good humans, men, women, blacks, whites, gays, trans, you name it, and the very unequal greatness they offer to teach us and support us, inspire us in this campaign for human rights. And they rely on me and all of us for exactly the same. Thank you.